The drop bay doors yawned open, spilling fire and wind into the cabin. Below, the Zorvash homeworld loomed, a planet of jagged obsidian spires and churning violet storms, wrapped in thick layers of orbital defenses. Somewhere down there, deep in the mountains, was the planetary relay. Our target. Inside the dropship, the red light pulsed. 2 minutes to launch. Captain Elias Voss checked his mag rifle, the weapon's sleek frame steady in his grip. He didn't need to say anything. His team knew the mission. They knew what was at stake. The Zervash had slaughtered 12 of ours in cold blood. A declaration of dominance. They thought we'd kneel. Instead, we were here. "Comms are synced," said Rafe Iskander, already buried in his forearm display, fingers flicking through lines of code at a speed that made lesser minds sweat. "Took some creative rerouting, but we're threading the Zervash sensor grid like a goddamn needle." "Good," Elias said. "You should be more excited. That was some next-level cyber sleight of hand. Honestly, I'm offended at the lack of applause. Keep talking and you're walking home." Rafe grinned but laid out to drop. Across from him, Sienna Vale finished calibrating the charge on her knives, the edges humming with deadly precision. She rolled her shoulders, loosened her stance, calm, methodical. Her eyes flicked to Elias. "You ready for this?" Elias gave her a look. "You asking me or yourself?" Sienna exhaled sharply, but there was the barest flicker of a smirk. "Just making sure you're still human." Before Elias could respond, Ren Cade let out a sharp whistle. "Hey, lovebirds. Don't mean to ruin the moment, but—" They jabbed a thumb toward the burning atmosphere rushing up to meet them. "We're about to skydive into an alien stronghold, and I'd rather not die watching you two flirt." "Focus up," Elias ordered. "Focus is boring," Ren shot back. "I like my chaos with a side of—" The drop alarm blared. The ship shuddered. Go time. Ren's grin sharpened. Violence. The fall was pure, howling gravity. The pods burned through the Zervash atmosphere, streaks of fire against the roiling storm clouds. Sensors scrambled, heat signatures masked. No alarms, no sirens. We were ghosts. The pods hit ground with bone-rattling force, sinking into the rain-drenched jungle floor. Steam hissed from the seams as the hatches burst open, releasing 4 shadows into the dark. Elias moved first, rifle up, boots crunching against the alien soil. A sickly sweet scent clung to the air, thick with humidity. The trees loomed overhead, twisted black limbs, leaves that dripped with phosphorescent light. The Zervash called this place Mekra. We called it Kindling. "Telemetry check," Elias murmured. "Uplinks holding," Rafe confirmed, already scanning the relay station's signal footprint. "We're a click and a half out. Jamming field's messing with the deep scans, but I'd bet my left ass cheek they've got patrols between us and the target." Sienna was already moving, eyes sharp. "How do you even bet half an ass cheek?" "You'd be surprised." "Please stop," Elias muttered. A soft chirp from Rafe's display killed the conversation. His easygoing smirk flickered, replaced by something sharper. "We've got movement?" Elias signaled. Down. We melted into the undergrowth as shapes moved through the rain. Zervash patrol. 6 of them. 7 feet tall, plated in black armor that pulsed with bioelectric veins. Their elongated heads swiveled, nostrils flaring as they sniffed for foreign scents. They moved with that unsettling insectile grace, limbs shifting, hands flexing, weapons humming low. Their voices clicked and snarled, a series of guttural exchanges that sent red-hot anger curling in Elias's chest. The last time we heard that sound, it was through a dying diplomat's final transmission. A memory flashed. 12 human bodies, broken and drifting in space. A slow breath. Steady. Elias signaled. Let them pass. The patrol crept closer, closer. Then Ren shifted. A single near-silent movement. A twig snapped. The Zervash warrior whipped around. Eyes locked. Shit. Elias fired first. A single shot. Clean through the alien's skull. The jungle exploded into chaos. Sienna vanished, a blur of motion as her knives sank into flesh. silencing one Zervash before it could turn. Rafe dropped low, exosuit thrusters propelling him sideways as his drone-mounted turrets spat fire. Ren, of course, laughed, vaulting over a fallen Zervash, jamming a charge under its plating and kicking off its chest as it detonated in a burst of green fire. Subtle? Rafe deadpanned. You love it, Ren shot back. Elias didn't bother with a response. He shoved forward, rifle barking, his team a relentless force of human adaptability and destruction. Seconds. That's all it took. Then silence. 6 Zervash corpses, steam rising from the blackened soil. Sienna exhaled. Well, that could have been quieter. Tell that to Ren, Rafe muttered. Hey! Ren shrugged, grinning. We're alive. They're not. I call that a win. Elias ignored the banter, eyes fixed ahead. The relay station loomed through the mist, an imposing black monolith, Zervash glyphs flickering across its surface. Then the ground rumbled. Elias turned just as something massive stepped into view. A Zervash warlord, 8 feet of armored brutality, plating thick as a dreadnought hull, eyes like twin voids. It clenched its fists, jagged knuckles crackling with energy. It didn't speak, just smiled. Ren's grin faltered. Guys? The warlord charged. Elias barely had time to raise his rifle before impact. Air ripped from his lungs as his back slammed against the jungle floor, his rifle torn from his grip. The warlord stood over him, exoskeletal plating gleaming in the rain, void black eyes locked onto their prey. It lunged. Elias rolled. A fist the size of a warhead cratered the soil where his head had been, sending up a spray of mud and shattered roots. Captain! Rafe's voice crackled in his ear. No time to answer. Elias dove for his rifle, fingers curling around the grip. The warlord's foot crashed down, pinning his arm. A crushing weight. Bones strained. The alien's mandibles curled in something like amusement. Elias bared his teeth. A pulse shot rang out. The warlord jerked as a round slammed into its plating, the impact sizzling against its bioelectric shield. Not enough to kill, but enough to distract. Elias ripped his arm free and rolled as Sienna struck. She was a blur of motion, knives flashing. Her blade drove deep into the warlord's side, just under the plating, where the armor segmented for movement. The alien snarled, lashing out, but she was already gone, moving with lethal precision. Did that piss it off? Ren called, bracing their rifle. Oh yeah, Sienna muttered just as the warlord roared. The jungle shook. It moved fast, faster than anything that big had a right to. Ren opened fire. Pulse rounds sparked against its plating, barely slowing it down. Rafe snarled. Screw this! He lifted his forearm console, fingers dancing across the interface. Drones hummed to life. Sleek, disc-like machines rising from his shoulders, locking onto the alien's weak points. Hit it now! He barked. Elias didn't hesitate. He aimed low, rifle kicking against his shoulder. Knees. The armor there had thinner plating. Had to, for mobility. A burst of fire. The rounds tore into the joint. The warlord staggered. Sienna moved in like a phantom, another blade sliding between its ribs. The alien reeled, then bellowed, a deep, resonant sound that vibrated in the chest, and suddenly, light. Bioelectric discharge surged across its body in a flash of blue. Sienna was too close. The energy arced into her, sending her crashing back, limbs convulsing. Elias saw red. He surged forward, rifle abandoned, his combat knife ripped free from its sheath. The warlord turned, too slow. Elias drove the blade into its throat. A wet, gurgling snarl. He twisted in, hard. The alien staggered. Elias grabbed its arm, pivoted, and used its own weight to slam it into the mud. The ground shuddered beneath the impact. Rafe's drones whined, priming their final shot. Whom? The warlord's head erupted in a flash of molten light. Silence. The body slumped. Rain hissed against scorched plating. Breathing ragged, Elias rose, Sienna groaned, still twitching from the discharge. Ren crouched next to her, slapping her cheek lightly. "You alive?" Sienna punched them in the thigh. "Yep," Ren wheezed. "She's good." Rafe whistled, nudging the warlord's corpse with his boot. That was, excessive. Elias wiped blood from his jaw. "Move." No argument. They vanished into the jungle, leaving the body behind. The relay station loomed ahead. It was massive, a monolithic pillar of alien design, its surface crawling with Zervash glyphs that pulsed in shifting patterns. Energy conduits fed into the structure like veins, stretching skyward to power the planetary defense grid. Sienna frowned. "Security?" Rafe scanned. 4 snipers on the ridge, heavy infantry at the main entrance, reinforced blast doors, and he paused. "Shit." Elias tensed. "What?" Rafe's fingers danced across his console. "They've already activated a purge cycle. If we don't shut it down in the next 7 minutes, the relay wipes itself. No data, no access, no way to bring down the orbital defenses." A slow breath. "Then we do this fast," Elias said. Sienna unsheathed a blade. "Stealth?" Elias shook his head. "Loud," Ren grinned. "Finally!" The first shot split the night. A Zervash sniper crumpled, skull blown apart before they could react. The others barely had time to pivot before Rafe's drones descended, rapid-fire bursts tearing through armor. Elias moved with ruthless efficiency, rifle snapping to targets, each pull of the trigger precise and final. Sienna disappeared into the shadows. When she reappeared, it was behind a Zervash, heavy, blades flashing. "Ren?" Ren did what Ren always did. Something insane. "Cover me!" they yelled, already sprinting. "Cover you from—" "Oh, for fuck's sake!" Rafe swore. Ren vaulted over a barricade, sliding between 2 Zervash guards. A single shot to the knee sent one toppling, while a grenade found its way under the second's armor plating. Ren winked. Boom! The Zervash exploded. "Idiots!" Sienna muttered, dodging a hail of fire. The blast doors groaned. Elias emptied the last of his rifle's charge into a Zervash trooper's skull, then turned. "Rafe! Door!" Rafe was already on it. Fingers flew across his console as he bypassed the encryption. A warning siren blared. 2 minutes left. "Almost there!" Zervash reinforcements poured from the far corridor. Elias gritted his teeth. No time, no retreat. They had one shot. He turned to Sienna and Ren. "We hold this line." Sienna flicked blood from her blades. "Then let's make them bleed for it." Ren reloaded, eyes bright. "Finally, something fun." Elias exhaled. Steady. The blast doors shuddered. The Zervash charged, and hell followed. The Zervash charged. A black wave of armored bodies, weapons glowing with sickly green plasma. Their battle cries screeched across the comms, guttural and raw, until the first explosion ripped through their ranks. Boom! A grenade blast hurled bodies skyward, plating cracking like shattered bone. The ones who survived barely had time to react before Sienna was among them, blades flashing, her body moving with lethal precision. Elias didn't hesitate. He pivoted, pulse, rifle snapping up. One shot, one kill. The alien's head snapped back in a spray of phosphor blood. Another Zervash lunged, but Elias shifted, firing mid-step. A perfect shot through the throat. Rafe's drones hovered overhead, spitting fire downrange. "Almost there!" he called, fingers flying over his forearm console. "But I swear to God, if one of you dies while I'm working—" "Just open the goddamn door!" Ren yelled, grinning as they tore a rifle from a dying Zervash's hands and used it against them. "Ooh, this one's got a kick!" Another wave stormed through the corridor. Heavies, armored like walking tanks. "New problem," Sienna gritted out. "They brought the big boys." Zervash were brutes, 12 feet tall, bio-plated like living dreadnoughts. Energy shields flaring as they stomped forward, launchers primed, and they weren't alone. Behind them, the relay's defense turrets activated, rotating with metallic clicks, charging to fire. Elias made the call. "Fall back, Rafe! Still working! Work faster! The team scrambled for cover as the war brutes unleashed a storm of plasma rounds. The jungle floor exploded. Trees snapped in half. Fire ripped through the air. Ren ducked behind a collapsed bulkhead, panting. Okay, maybe we should have knocked. Elias reloaded, jaw clenched. Not enough time. They needed a solution. Now Sienna wiped blood from her cheek, eyes scanning. We take those brutes head on. We're done. Yeah, Elias said, mind racing. So we don't. His gaze flicked upward to the relay's power conduits. High voltage, exposed. A plan snapped together. Risky. Insane. Their only shot. Elias turned to Rafe. Redirect power from the relay. Overload the turrets. Rafe blinked. That'll fry the whole station. Exactly. We use the surge to drop their shields. Then we hit them hard. That is batshit insane. Elias grinned. I know. Rafe cursed but moved. Sienna adjusted her grip. This better work. Ren cracked their neck. If not, hell of a way to go. They moved. Sparks rained as Rafe ripped into the relay's systems, hands blurring over the controls. Almost there! The war brutes closed in. One of them raised a massive plasma cannon. Sienna fired a grapple line, yanking herself up and over the brute's head. She twisted midair, landed behind it, and drove a plasma charge between its armor plates. It detonated. Another brute swung at Ren, who dove under its strike, rolled, and jammed a stolen Zervash rifle into its ribs. They pulled the trigger. Boom! The brute staggered, armor rupturing. Elias lined up his shot. One clean burst, right through the exposed plating. The brute collapsed. Turrets spun up, then flickered, then... Now! Rafe shouted. A surge of power ripped through the station. The turrets overloaded, sending a cascade of electrical arcs through the entire facility. The war brutes jerked and convulsed, their shields failing, armor plating overheating. Elias didn't hesitate. Burn them down! Sienna struck first, twin blades sinking into the softened plates. Ren grabbed a grenade from a dead Zervash, pulled the pin with their teeth, and shoved it into a brute's chest cavity. Rafe's drones swept through, firing in coordinated bursts, severing spinal links. And Elias? Elias emptied his clip into the last war brute's skull, watching as it crashed to the ground. Silence. Zervash bodies littered the floor. Smoke and ionized blood filled the air. Ren exhaled, dragging a hand through their hair. Holy shit! We actually did that! Sienna wiped her blades on a dead Zervash. It's not over yet. Elias turned to Rafe. Tell me you got it. Rafe grinned, lifting his display. Orbital defenses are down. Our fleet can move in. Elias let out a slow breath. Victory. Then, a horrible metallic screech echoed through the relay chamber. Sienna froze. Tell me that was the system failing. Rafe's grin disappeared. It wasn't. The relay core shifted, and from the darkness something moved. A Zervash overseer, larger than the warlord, stronger. Its armor was ancient, scarred with centuries of war. Its eyes gleamed like black suns, its clawed fingers crackling with raw energy. It stepped forward slowly, deliberately, and then it spoke. Not in Zervash, not in guttural snarls, but in perfect, unbroken English. Humans. Elias stiffened. The overseer smiled. You shouldn't have come here. The lights died. For half a second the world was swallowed in blackness. Then a crackle. Blue arcs of energy pulsed through the chamber, casting the Zervash overseer in an eerie glow. Its scarred plating gleamed, its eyes burning with something beyond arrogance. Certainty. You are impressive, it said, voice smooth, almost amused, but misguided. Elias stood his ground, heart hammering. The others were dead silent. The overseer tilted its head, claws flexing. Tell me, humans, do you know how many species have tried to defy us? Elias didn't blink. Not enough. The overseer smiled. Then it moved, faster than anything that size had the right to. A pulse of force slammed into Elias's chest. He flew back, crashing into a steel pillar. Sienna was already moving, her blades flashing, but the overseer caught her wrist mid-strike. The air shuddered as it twisted, a sickening pop. Sienna snarled in pain, barely rolling away before its next strike shattered the floor where she had been. Rafe's drones fired. The overseer caught a drone mid-flight. The other 6 exploded against its armor, but did nothing. It turned the captured drone in its hand, examined it, then crushed it like paper. Wren lifted a heavy rifle, firing 3 explosive rounds in rapid succession. The first 2 impacted. Smoke and fire swallowed the overseer. The third, it walked through, unaffected. Wren's grip tightened. "Well, that's bad," Rafe hissed. "This isn't a fight we can win, Elias." Elias wiped blood from his mouth, forcing himself up. "Not like this." He turned. The relay core hummed, pulsing like a beating heart. The planetary command nexus, their real target. He met Rafe's eyes. "Can you override it?" Rafe blinked. "You mean burn it down?" Rafe swallowed. "Elias, if I do that, every Zervash fleet linked to this system will burn with it." Silence. Then Rafe nodded, grim. "Cover me." Elias turned back just in time to see the overseer descend on Sienna. She was on one knee, breathing ragged, her left arm useless at her side, but her eyes were defiant. The overseer lifted a crackling claw. Elias moved. Tackle. The impact sent both of them skidding, Elias driving his elbow into the alien's throat. The overseer snarled, but Elias was already grappling for control. It was like wrestling a goddamn war machine. Pure, brutal strength. A knee to his ribs. A crack. Something broke inside him. The overseer grabbed him by the throat. Lifted him. "You fight with fury," it murmured. "But fury is not enough." The grip tightened. Vision dimmed. Then bang! A pulse round slammed into the overseer's skull. It staggered. Sienna struck from below. A knife drove into its ribs, deep. A precise, perfect strike. The overseer reeled, dropping Elias, just as Wren fired another shot. The round hit home. The overseer stumbled. Rafe yelled over comms, "Core overload in 30 seconds!" Elias forced himself up, lungs burning. "Move!" The team bolted for the exit. The overseer snarled, slamming a hand to its chest. The walls shuddered. Zervash reinforcements flooded in. Elias cursed. They weren't going to make it. Then Sienna turned. Elias knew that look. "Sienna!" She ripped the explosive charge from her belt. "Step back. Face the overseer." "You said fury isn't enough?" she muttered. Her thumb primed the detonator. She grinned. "Good thing I'm not just pissed. I'm human." And she charged. Elias yelled her name. She crashed into the overseer, blade still lodged in its ribs, and detonated. Light, sound, the chamber erupted. Elias barely felt Wren yank him back as the shockwave ripped through the relay station. They hit the evac shuttle hard, Rafe screaming at the controls. Engines roared to life. The relay station vanished in fire. They broke atmosphere just as the Zervash fleet collapsed. Across the system, Zervash ships flared and died, their command networks shattered with the relay's destruction. Rafe sagged in his seat, hands shaking. Wren stared at the debris below. "She really did it." Elias said nothing. His hands curled into fists. Then a voice crackled through comms. A voice that shouldn't exist. "Sienna to command. Somebody better tell me that explosion looked cool as hell from orbit." Elias's breath caught. The comms erupted in laughter. Wren whooped, slamming a hand against the hull. "You crazy, beautiful idiot!" Sienna grinned through the screen, bloodied but alive. "Takes more than that to kill me." Elias exhaled and smiled. Then he turned his gaze to the Zervash burning below. Their time was done. Humanity had just rewritten the rules, and the galaxy, it would never forget.